Good afternoon or good morning, everybody, and welcome to the InduSoft webinar, Batch Process Analysis and Traceability for the Food Industry. My name is Fabio Teresino. I'll be co-hosting this webinar with Marcelo Tais from Advanced Automation. I'll provide a very quick introduction about some advantages of InduSoft Web Studio for this type of projects, and then Marcelo will take over and discuss the solution and products that he designed using InduSoft Web Studio. He will also demo the actual system, and then we will open for Q&A. So if you have any questions during or after the webinar, please feel free to write them at the Q&A box or at the chat box, which are available at the webinar bar on the top of your monitor. And Marcelo and I will be reading the questions and answering them at the end of the webinar. So a very quick introduction about InduSoft Web Studio advantages for this industry. InduSoft Web Studio for many years now provides all the tools that you need to design applications compliant with the FDA 21 CFR Part 11. Tools like the event logger for traceability, InduSoft can automatically track and log into binary files or databases the actions or critical actions taken by the operators, including the timestamp, the description of the action, and the username, which is handled in a way that's considered electronic or digital signature. So in the security system, we also support and provide several features like the ability to configure electronic or digital signatures, define authentication rules, and enforce those rules, things like password changing and when the password should be changed. Not to mention that InduSoft Web Studio has also a built-in native interface, which allows you to link InduSoft to the Active Directory using the standard LDAP protocol and share the authentication settings, users, groups, and passwords with the Active Directory from your own network, from your own system. We also provide a native patent solution to interface with any SQL relational databases, and there are many objects, tools, and interfaces in the product to interface with databases in a very efficient, flexible, but also very easy way. We have a built-in recipe management module, which can also be used with databases or without databases to manage external recipes. The product is designed to provide object-oriented configuration. So we have features like the link symbols, which allows you to create symbols and reuse in different areas of the project for consistency. Also global procedures, which allows you to write your logics just once and reuse those logics for many portions of the project. So keep evolving the product with this concept of providing a tool where you can conduct object-oriented configuration in an easy way, again. And we have also a native thin client solution, which allows customers and partners like Advanced Automation to create solutions where InduSoft Web Studio and the application reside in a single station, and additional stations can be used to interface with the system, to interface with the application, but you do not have to install or license InduSoft Web Studio and the application in each one of those remote stations. They are thin clients from the main station, the main server, running InduSoft Web Studio, and Marcelo will demonstrate and talk about most, if not all, those features in the context of the project that he developed at Advanced Automation and deployed successfully to many customers. So Marcelo, I made you the presenter. Feel free to share your desktop, and you can get started whenever you're ready.
Okay, thanks, Fabio. So My name is Marcelo Tice. I'm the owner and creator of the BPA system. And a little bit about my company, Advanced Automation. We are an automated machinery building system business, meaning what we do is our goal was to design custom pieces of equipment to add or enhance to the current systems. We specialize in the baking industry, but we work in a lot of different fields as well. So the customer would call us and say they had a specific need they needed to be done. It couldn't be purchased off the shelf, so they called us in and we would design it mechanically, and we also would do the electrical, the control systems with it, the standalone HMIs, the PLCs, and whatnot. We also, like I said, we have done projects in the adult beverage, fragrances, scented candles, building peristaltic pump systems specific to that customer's need, cheese processing plants, multiple products come in and we process them and run them down conveyor systems, put them in packaging machines, and take the packages away. But like I said, we do specialize in the baking industry. So during a commissioning of a piece of equipment at a customer, we had noticed that they were going through a BRC audit, and they were having a difficult time, specific portions of this BRC audit, and especially the ingredient handling portion. They were doing mock recalls, and if any of you have done mock recalls, they can be difficult if the data hasn't been handled correctly. We also took a look at the mandates that were driving the food industry, specifically the baking industry, and the BRC, the S2F, and the AID. And the companies needed to maintain a certain level grade to remain on the preferred vendor list, and that gave them a greater area of business sales. We also noticed that the employees, especially in the batching side, had to handle more complex processes. Rather than the operator on the line side or the packaging side, the batch personnel had to be the one with the most complex stuff. So we also noticed the recall hours. They couldn't actually do a recall. Sometimes on the mock recall, the data that was entered was lost somewhere in the middle between receiving and by the time it went upstairs to records keeping to log in the data, let's say in a standard Excel format, the continuity was lost. And again, like I said, the incorrect data from the plant floor to the back office due to manual reports and record keeping. So if the operator at the receiving end entered a specific lot number that came from the package, in just a regular longhand form, if it hands it down to the production area, they could have changed one number, and at that point you've already lost the continuity. And definitely the excessive overtime. Record keeping, we estimated, the customer said anywhere between 300 and 400 hours. And that included straight throughout the process, from receiving, production, right up to manually removing the data longhand on a sheet of paper from the production floor and entering them into an Excel spreadsheet. So we first took a look at what is it that we need to do to overcome all these problems before we even get involved. And the first thing is we need to select the correct SCADA software. And not only for the current application that we saw in front of us, but what we don't know what's going down. So we needed that kind of a software package that allows us to do changes without, and then making the upgrades to customers that purchased the new year 2 to 3 years before without a major software headache. We also needed to have a piece of software that allowed us to integrate to the current customer's old devices and the new devices as well, meaning most customers will have a 100, 200,000 pound silo. We need to control their silo without demoing any control indicators that they have now. Plus, we need to also control whatever devices are required for whatever job. Mass flow meters, water meters, oil meters, and things of that nature. We actually designed our own water meter and it works, and oil meter. It works very well. And the possibility for future custom drives. So, in part of looking for all these things, we also wanted to see how flexible, how willing the company is to, let's say, develop some new driver that a new product came out. They don't have it. Are they willing to work with us, of course, at a premium, but are they willing to work with us to develop a driver for that need? And that has to be another one. Open platform, we had to have basic the scripting or C++ or Visual Basic or anything, and multiple drivers built in it. That was another, we didn't know if we needed it, but we just needed to know that it was there, that software would talk that punch. And definitely, after visiting, we visited many products. We downloaded the free app, translated it. So when we visited the InduSoft out in Austin, we were very impressed, not only with the facility, but with the people and the engineers. And basically an all-around nice company to work with. It's definitely a lot of their skill set and be forward with the project. So we looked at the manual weighing ingredients and the writing down of the lot numbers. So many of you that are in the bakery industry or even in the snack food industry, you'll notice something similar to this. You have the operator, you have several totes underneath them, and balancing is the scale. And what they do is they just weigh the product into the scale, move the slide over, and enter on longhand the amount of weight and the lot number of the product. We found the issues with manual weighing and the data tracking, definite consistency issues. The operator, we all like to think that the operator is going to run exactly what we want on our recipe, down to the ounce or whatever your tolerance level is. That wasn't the case. We overlooked at them and we watched that they would tap the scales a little bit here and there, and they'd be, okay, that's fine, that made the weight. And what that would do also would cause, and we'll talk about it a little bit later on, it would cause you problems when you do mass balance. Hey, where is all the product that we needed? And we should have more, but we don't. Or we have too much, and we shouldn't. Definitely missing ingredients. We've noticed that several times. In the baking industry, you don't, or in any baking industry, if you realize that the product, the batch is missing an ingredient, sometimes a little too late. So let's say, for instance, the yeast, you don't realize that the yeast isn't in the product until you go and proof the product, and maybe 50 to 100 to 200 racks of product are not rising, and you realize that, hey, there's no yeast. It doesn't brown correctly. There's not enough sugar. So not only do you trash that product, but you now have to go back and make the batches to make up for that. And trucks would leave off time and whatnot. And the documentation, data entry, the integrity was, we've noticed that some customer would write a 6, the guy in the middle, the production side, think it was a G, and they wrote a G, and then upstairs wrote the G letter or the 6, or whatever happened with the integrity of the data, the way it came into the warehouse, it never wound up into the production or into the spreadsheet exactly the way it should have been. The other thing customers didn't like was that the recipes were stored in the employee notebook. Meaning, not every single batch of every product is going to be identical. If you run an 800-pound batch, and sometimes you have the need to run a 700 or 600 or whatever it is. And truly, the only one that knows to adapt to that, it changes, it rises, and drops, is the actual baker. They'll have either a notebook or even by memory. And they'll be able to alter it. But in doing that, the company is now pretty much, I hate to use the word, but held hostage. So they have that one trained employee handle that part of the batching. and definitely trying to break in a new employee on the batch. I've seen it many times where they're bringing a rookie, if you will, to start learning the batch either because of retirement coming up, super trained, or they just want to add another baker. And the gentleman that's been doing it, or the person that's doing it, 20, 50 years, whatever, kind of reluctant a little bit to tell them exactly this. They would notice that. So when we took a look at all these things and started to develop the software portion and the hardware portion and things like that, we came up with what you see on the screen here. Now, directly to this screen, this operator here is a scale. It's a thing point that we absolutely love. It allows us to put multiple tied into this specific scale, but the actual software, the application doesn't provide the service system that manages office, and all the SIM signs to be scattered about the area. One seating and loading dock, a couple of passes. So, the features and benefits of doing this, we've noticed a little bit more. The one big thing was the recipes are stored in the database. No longer is the notebook allowed out on the production floor. So what they did was we sat down and taught them how to write a specific recipe, and from there on, they just kept loading the recipes for all of the different batches. And they like that. We don't kind of hold you to a certain amount of recipes. We are unlimited recipes. We have one that holds you to 1,500 recipes. I can only imagine. But there's 1,500 recipes in there. And the nice thing about it is that you write that recipe only once. What I mean by that is you would write a recipe as and most customers like 100-pound rule. So they'll write 100 pounds of flour, and these are the ounces to that 100-pound flour. And when we get to the demo, you'll see how that becomes so very powerful on production floor. It's also nice that in a lab environment, you're not going to run 100 pounds in the lab. You can run them in small batches, take 5 or 10-pound batches, and tune them. And then once you have them, you can just bring it out to 100 pounds and production is done. Simultaneous recording of production. So as all this is happening, we have the thin clients for shitting out and receiving, and we have two different departments. One is running a fresh product, make and bake, and the other department is running frozen. It didn't matter. The system's recording all the lot numbers as it's entered from the warehouse. The weight is entered, latches, the lot numbers are latched to that operation. So everything gets recorded at the same identical time, regardless of what's happening. That was huge for us. Mass balance, lot number track, and it's separated what personnel, what is currently in production, and what is in stock. Broad is balanced. Lot number track for.
Hello, Marcelo. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, I don't know if you're using wireless on IP phone, but you are cutting off pretty bad now.
Can you hear me now?
Much better. Thank you. Sorry for interrupting.
Sorry about that. We also gave you the one-touch reporting option. So every screen that you'll see that the third-party auditor, whether it be BRC, SQF, or AIB, they like to see the papers as well. And we didn't make it cumbersome. And when we go to the demo, we'll show you every single screen, lot numbers and batch numbers and whatnot. We all have a single-touch download button puts them over to Excel, and then you can print it for them, and that's a real nice feature. Lot number tracking within seconds. That is definitely something that we've noticed in just about every facility. If you ask them, if I can go out in the warehouse and pull a lot number that's currently in production, how much of it is being used, how much has been used, how much is left over, things like that were very difficult, could take hours to find. In our system, it's literally within seconds. It's just copy and paste the lot number. And, of course, definitely the ROI. With a microsystem, the 6 to 12 months, just excluding the man hours that it takes just to do the data entry and all this, that, and the other, the ingredient savings, you'll notice that each individual ingredient will be tolerance controlled by you. They can't do anything unless the system is satisfied. So the 6 to 12 months ROI is definitely a nice feature. So not only building the microsystems, because there are two systems, the micro BPA system, which is a smart scale software. We also control the current silos. If you have your own water meter, or we can put our water meter, oil meters, any other incidental, we actually can control it from that front station. No longer does the operator have to go to the actual indicators of above the hoppers and select and enter the weight and then go and select the water meter and things of that nature. Even the microsystem can do it. Some customers have our big system, our full tank system, and where we load up 8 tanks. Each tank has an ingredient, and the system draws off of these tanks onto I don't know if you see it underneath the stairs, there's a white tote that is connected to a servo motor onto a scale, and that does it automatically as soon as they run that system. So let's take a look at it. I'm going to refer back to that photo as well. So this is the actual system. The first page at the operation, what we're looking here is at a supervisor screen. There's a lot more information here on the upper left that the operators won't see, but we'll just go for the purpose of the demo. So the operator selects, first they log in, they have a specific login, and you'll see here the current user is myself. And as the operator logs in, they'll be assigned, you assign the actual level of security that they're allowed to enter. So you wouldn't want the production folks getting into the maintenance screen, and you definitely don't want maintenance running any lot numbers. So you can assign each other, and we'll get to that as well. So the operation basically hits the recipe select. They'll select the mixer that they want to run to. There. They'll select the recipe. They'll come down and select the flour weight. And automatically the system now just went down to 100 pounds of ingredients. So it's all numbered, nice and easy for them, and they'll hit batch run. When they do that, and I'll go line by line, the first ingredient the system's telling them to add salt. This is the current lot number that they should be adding. This is a little overview, kind of a heads up for the operator of what's going on with that particular lot number. And most of the information. It's telling you 44.4 pounds of 1,000 pounds that was received from the warehouse. And then the last line is how much weight you're supposed to add. So in simulating, the operator will start to fill their little bin. And we opened up the tolerance just for the purposes of the demo. When you are within the tolerance you selected for salt, the accept button comes on, they hit it, the system automatically pairs the scale out, and it goes to the next ingredient. Extras, same thing, lot number, the little heads-up information here, and the system is telling you to add 7 ounces. Again, we're doing the same. if it happens to be different, let's just say they updated the lot number and we noticed it's a different lot number and nobody put the lot number there, you can select it from the available lot numbers that are in the warehouse. So you're not stuck with that. Now, if you look at the banner here, going back to the what we had discussed, this IHB blend is an ingredient that was manufactured in the plant, meaning we don't purchase IHB blend one, you produce it in the plant. It could be multiple different types of ingredients. We have another scale that goes along with the same system where you do your custom blend. But we handle that custom internal ingredient just as if it was a warehouse product. So if it came in, it's the same thing. But we assign the lot number internally, and now the system is warning the operator, you have 96.7% use out of this batch. Again, that heads up, we run up to 90%. So basically what it's telling the operator is you're getting low on that product. If you wanted to change it, you can just come down and select the new lot number. So again, the operations will go ahead and accept it, and now your batch is complete. What's happening in the background, if you are upstairs or even on the secure viewers down out on the production floor, you can just come up to the screen, take a look at the production. But this is a batch that we just created now. I'll show you the two columns in a second. But if you want to look at the batch, you just say just show weight. And now here it's telling you the system required 9 ounces. Your operator only gave you 8.46. And going down the line, 7 ounces, 6.86, and so on and so forth. You'll notice there are 2 columns here. We have a batch product number, lot number internally created, but we don't have a finished product. What this is telling you is that these batches here that don't have a finished date are batches still in your facility that have not been completed. You still have a remaining product to go in. And in baking, it's usually the yeast, obviously the oil, the water and the oil, and whatever other ingredients that you like to use, or perishable ingredients like an egg that has to be put in at the very end, just before it's mixed. And it still has not been assigned a final batch number. So as the operator hits it, we create a barcode with this batch lot number here. And the decal comes off, and it is applied. Let's just go back to this. Okay. So if you look over the shoulder, this operator here, before this operator, his job was specifically to make batches all day for the second shift. He didn't run the current production, he just made batches. So in the barcode that I was discussing, they get attached to the buckets that are sitting in the racks here, and they could be stored for later use. This operator is running his department and also making batches for the second department, second shift. The customer loved that because it's no longer being done by different shifts. So what will happen is the operator, the decal will come from the bucket. We'll just simulate it. I don't have a barcode reader or anything like that. And in the finishing line, the operator will scan the barcode. It'll enter there. And now the system is, it looks back at the database, and it realizes this batch 16 was created with 100 pounds of flour. As you notice here, put 100 pounds of flour, the water, and the oil. The nice feature that we do as well is you also must track all contact products. And what I mean by that is, in baking, you use mineral oil. Either use it in your dividers or you'll use it in your mixers to pull the dough out of the divider. You don't know how much you're using, but you must track the lot number of that oil. System is not calling for weight, but it's just saying add that, accept that you're using this mineral oil in your mix. The same thing with bags. This is a 4-pack bag. That's going to be, at the end result, will be put into these. So you have to track the lot number of the bag as well. We do that as well. And then, of course, yeast. The operator hits the yeast set point, and you're now complete. Now the batch is left to run. And if we go back, you'll notice that batch 16 now is given a final batch, and it's limited by the F. So the B is indicating the batch, and now the F is indicated that it has been completed. You'll know when it was created and when it was completed, and by whom, the operators. You'll have 2 different operators. And again, these things can run at the same time. One operator could be completing batches, and another operator could be making batches as well. Now, if you wanted to go and take a look at it again, this is the mass balance features and things like that. So if you had a mock recall and you wanted to recall this, let's say this sugar here, you would just, again, copy and paste it, close it. You put it into your main screen, go back to your main screen, there's a lot number button there. And you just enter it down on the bottom, where it says lot number track. And you select to find the lot number. Now that lot number, you can track what recipe it went in, what batch number it's in, the batch production. And here you know that 2 of the batches are already gone. They've been processed. But 2 of them are sitting out in your warehouse. So all you need to do is find these 2 barcodes that are sitting out in the warehouse, and you can recall them. A nice feature is also mass balance. One touch. There's your mass balance. They want to know what you've used, what came in. You can take it even further, show a breakdown. Now you can see the breakdown of every individual batch and the amount that was used in each one. Going to the download buttons feature. It's a one touch, and it shoots over to Excel, and then you can give them nice reporting here for your audits. Okay. We also have the on-hand stock. You can actually just, in production or in the warehouse, in the manager's office, you see all the ingredients that are currently in production. It will state here that it's in production. It's currently keeping a track for you of what's out there. And then you'll notice that you have another batch of all-purpose shortening, such a number that has not been introduced. So it's literally in your warehouse. So these are fictitious, but the point is that the data is right there for you to look at. You can run it low and make a call at the kitchen on ordering the product. So we did a lot of thinking on how it would make both the production people and the folks upstairs their jobs a lot easier. We also had in our maintenance screen part of the BRC or the compliancy is the CCT of your scales. And in the past, you had to go out there and have your operator longhand mark the weight they put on it and things like that. But this time, we don't. You literally just select the scale that you want to do a spot check in. You apply the weight to the scale. And then what will happen is the system will go into a spot check and then record it down here on the bottom for you. So you can literally just take a look at it and see how often the as found and basically what the scale is reading as applied to the test weight. And it's all done automatically. Nobody enters the data. There's a lot more here. There's just so much information and so much abilities of the system that I definitely couldn't sit and do within a half an hour or an hour of the system. Ingredients are handled in the receiving end. No ingredient is allowed to come into the plant unless you have selected these ingredients to be in your plant. Ingredients also, when you're setting up ingredients, you set your ingredients, and if there is a COA according to that ingredient, it will not be allowed to enter unless the operator checks that he has a COA in their hand. The tolerance for that specific ingredient. If not, we go to the default, which is on the front page. But if you see Super Relax has a COA to it, and if we were to go down to Super Relax and we entered it, we'll notice here that the system is requiring a COA. So even though you can enter your lot number and the weight and the temperature, they'd like that as well, it still will not allow you to receive that ingredient until the operator depresses the COA, and now you can receive that ingredient. Gives you a little brief, kind of like a pre-flight, are you sure? Look at yes, and now we entered the Super Relax into the warehouse with the weight. One of the nice features, too, that we do is mass balance. We have customers ask, well, what do I do with the ingredient that's left over? It's not enough to run batches, but we're definitely not going to throw it away. And what we did with that is let's take a look at ingredient here. Again, copy, paste. When you come to the write-off and you hit blended, you can blend this weight. And these are the two lot numbers that are currently available to be in your warehouse. This is first in, first out. So if they were to hit the lot number today and they hit the write-off, the system says, are you sure you want to blend 52? It immediately makes the calculation of what's used and what was received to this lot number. And you say yes, and now you have a perfect score. You are able to identify and use all the weight, and when you do the show breakdown, on the upper column, it gives you the information. You blended 5280 with lot number sugar lot today. What it does is it adds that 5280 on top of this lot number and giving you a brand new lot number or brand new weight for that lot number. So mass balance, again, every screen you'll notice, they have the download button, again, going back to Excel, instantaneous. I think I covered pretty much a lot of the, this is the global tolerance that you set, like I was telling you about in the ingredient. You could either have a specific tolerance, or you could just set a global tolerance and say, hey, anything within plus or minus 2, we'd be okay. Or you can tighten that tolerance up as much as you want. So with that being said, can you hear me, Fabio?
Yes, excellent, Marcelo. Thank you very much. And now we will open for Q&A. And if you have any questions, feel free to write them at the chat box on the web bar, or also on the Q&A box, also on the web bar. on the WebEx bar on the top of your monitor, and Marcelo will be addressing your specific questions, if any. One question here is for how long the history information is kept on the system.
How long is the information kept on the system?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's indefinite. It sits on the database, the SQL Server. You can keep it there, or you can transfer it to an external drive for safekeeping if that's what you would want to do. But we don't limit the time that it sits in the system.
Very good. Another one here, what do you use for real-time control, the HMI or an actual PLC?
Depending on the system, if it is let's say we have an application where the microsystem suited the customer, but they wanted to control the hoppers, let's say their current silos, water meters, things like that. The interface obviously will control the scale, the bench scale, but we use the PLC to communicate and drive the external devices, being the water, the oil, whatever, liquid heat, whatever you have out there. So the system will control everything.
Got it. Another question is, can the application monitor the operation of the mixers, inputs, outputs, alarms?
Yes, absolutely. We could drive slow speed, high speed. We can control that as well with the PLC that we have. Yes.
And I think the question is if you can monitor those values in real time or online from the HMI.
Just to monitor, not to control?
Correct.
Okay. It depends on the mixer. Some mixers are just analog and it'd be very difficult to monitor, but we can build a board that would monitor low speed and high speed. I don't know if it's actual runtime or set point monitoring and process variable monitoring, but we can monitor the start and stop of each speed of that mixer.
Yeah, I think the question is more like if you have a sensor, a level sensor on the meter, then you can monitor the level of the tank from the HMI, those kind of indicators.
Okay, that's probably a specific product, an industry. In baking industry, we don't worry about the levels in the mixer, but if there is a level that we need to control, absolutely, we can monitor that. We've had a couple applications where we needed to monitor the level, and it was a very basic 40-20 signal that was parallel from the system monitoring the level. But,
right. And from my point, another thing I like about the way how Marcelo designed the system is that he has a basic foundation, a template, let's say, not only for the software but also the physical installation, but he has a lot of flexibility in his system and the ability to customize the basic foundation, the basic system, to unique needs from each customer. And I've seen him doing that, reusing the same application but tweaking here and there and customizing the system logically and mechanically to fit the specific needs of each customer, which is, in my opinion, quite powerful and very difficult to achieve.
Yeah, definitely. We knew that the baking industry is definitely what we were our strong suit, but we knew that there's always a driver to every product, and in baking it's usually flour. Flour drives the remaining ingredients, but you can have this thing drive. Let's say you were in the cabinet building business, but rather than that, you would say, make me 20 cabinets. And then there's, 3 screws, 4 screws, whatever amount of cabinets, and we translate the weight of the screw down to the actual go, no go, like we had with ingredients. So we didn't, although it is the demo is specific for bakeries, it could be for just about any application.
Right. Thank you, Marcelo. Another question is, what database are you using to save the recipes? External database?
We're using SQL.
Yeah, Microsoft SQL Server, right?
Yes, Microsoft SQL Server, sorry, yeah.
And as far as I recall, it's the Express version, which is free of charge.
Correct, the Microsoft Express.
Correct, and it can be installed along with InduSoft Web Studio in the application on the server computer, the master computer, and all the thin clients share the same database.
That is correct, yeah.
Another question here is, can you monitor the process from a web application in a tablet, phone, or another device in addition to the master PC?
Well, I think that's a question of InduSoft, for InduSoft. Yeah, I believe that you guys do have that capability of monitoring the application through a browser.
It is correct. This application was designed to support thin clients, whether those thin clients are in the network, in the intranet, or in a remote network through the internet, and whether the thin client station is a regular PC or a tablet running iOS or a tablet or cell phone running Android, for example. Either way, you can visualize, access the screens, visualize the online data, the history data, and as long as you enable that in the security system, do everything that you do on the local system.
We haven't had that yet. Customers didn't really want to monitor it away from the station, but I knew that again, going back to selecting the SCADA software, we did look at that, and you guys at InduSoft offered that, so that we knew somebody would ask for it eventually.
Correct. Another question is what the web meeting button does.
Okay, the web meeting button is, let's just say you're running the system and you're having a little bit of an issue with it. You press the web meeting button and it goes straight out to the deck. And we have the paid service to join the go-to meeting. We give you the ID, you log in, and you actually watch what we're doing, and we can help you. It's more helpful, not so much in the microsystem, but definitely in the full backup, the BPA system. But either or. Yeah.
Very good. Another question is, I think it's a good sign. Can you give me an email address of whom I can talk to?
I'm sorry, that was broken. Fabio?
The question is, can they have an email address of whom they can talk to? They want contact information to contact you.
Yeah, so you see it down on the bottom here, AdvancedAutomation1.com. You can go straight to the website, and there's a page there that says contact us.
Excellent. One more question. Can you use another database instead of Microsoft SQL Server? For example, MySQL Server? And here is probably a question more for InduSoft. The answer is yes. InduSoft Web Studio has a generic interface to databases, to SQL relational databases. So you can migrate from Microsoft SQL Server to MySQL, to Oracle, to Sybase, DB2, whatever SQL relational database you intend to use. There are specific logics and scripts in this application that uses functions, proprietary functions from Microsoft SQL Server, and in those instances, it's just a matter to go back to the logic and translate those functions into equivalent proprietary functions from MySQL. So even though a minor tweak here and there will be most likely required, the vast majority of the application is independent from the type of the database that you use. So to Marcelo's point, he was talking about how to contact Advanced Automation. Just to show again here, if you go to AdvancedAutomation1.com, oops, had a typo there. There you go. You will access Advanced Automation's website, and if you go to contact, you can send a message directly to them or find the contact information here, phone number and all, to contact them directly. With that, I'd like to, the InduSoft contact information is also available at the InduSoft website, InduSoft.com. And I would like to thank each one and everyone that attended the webinar. Thank you so much for your attendance and for your cooperation and support over the years. And thank you, Marcelo, as well, for sharing your experience and co-hosting this webinar with us. I do really appreciate it, and I hope it has been as useful and interesting to everybody as it has been to me.
Thank you very much as well.